Introduction. The perfect camouflage. There is a trap. It is a trap so subtle, so brilliant, and so well designed that 99% of people trying to escape the matrix fall headfirst into it. And the worst part is that they fall smiling, convinced they are free. Imagine a master thief who knows the police are searching for him throughout the entire city. What does he do to survive? Does he hide in a dark cave? Does he flee to another country? No, that would be too obvious. The master thief does something much more daring. He enters the police station, steals a uniform, puts on a badge, and joins the patrol that is looking for him. Now, he is untouchable. No one looks for the thief inside the search party itself. No one suspects the officer who shouts, "Stop thief," louder than anyone else. Your ego is that thief. And the spiritual path is the police station. For years you have been told that the ego is the enemy. They told you the ego is loud, that it wants money, fame, sex, and control over others. So with good intentions you started to work. You started to work on yourself. You began to meditate. You started reading sacred books. You began searching for peace, silence, and a high vibration. You stopped watching the news. You changed your diet, and you moved away from toxic people. And you felt like you were changing. You felt that your reactions were getting softer. You felt that you no longer cared about the banal things that worry the sleeping masses. You looked in the mirror and said to yourself, "I am moving forward. I am waking up. I am killing my ego." You were wrong. You didn't kill it. You made it smarter. You sent it to the university. Your ego saw you were no longer interested in matter, so it changed its marketing strategy. It took off the greedy banker's suit and put on the Zen monk's robe. It stopped desiring a Ferrari and started desiring enlightenment. It stopped competing for money and started competing for level of consciousness. It stopped seeking external applause and started seeking internal validation instead. It started whispering in your ear, "Look how humble you are now. Look how well you detach. Look how much you have progressed compared to your family, who are still asleep." That voice is still the ego. But now it is a spiritual ego, and this ego is infinitely more dangerous than the previous one because it is now armored. It has shielded itself with sacred concepts. If someone criticizes you now, you don't defend yourself with shouts. You defend yourself with a condescending smile of love and light, thinking they don't understand your process. You have become invulnerable to the truth, protected by the armor of your own holiness. It is a prison. Welcome to the ego trick. This is not an audiobook to make you feel special. I am not going to tell you that you are a being of light, or a starseed, or a rainbow warrior. This is a surgical mirror. We are going to dissect, layer by layer, your identity as a seeker. We are going to find the truth about why you are still suffering. We are going to discover that the reason you haven't quite found absolute peace is because you are looking for it, and the you that is searching is the only obstacle. Get ready. We are going to unmask the policeman to find the thief hiding underneath. The journey to real liberation begins by seeing through your own disguise. Chapter 1. The Metamorphosis from Material Ambition to Spiritual Ambition. The same dog with a different collar. How the desire for enlightenment is the ultimate expression of the ego's greed. Let's start with a raw image. Imagine a Wall Street executive in the 1980s. He wears a $3,000 suit, drives a red sports car, and consumes cocaine in exclusive club bathrooms. He is a predator. His only goal in life is to accumulate more. More money, more power, more sex, more recognition. His ego is obvious. It is loud, vulgar, and aggressive. He is a predator shouting, "Look at me, I have more than you, I am better than you." You look at that man and feel rejection. You say, "That man is lost in the illusion of matter." Now imagine a modern spiritual seeker. They wear organic linen clothes, drive a hybrid car or ride a bicycle, don't drink alcohol, are vegan, and wake up at 5 in the morning to meditate. Their goal in life is to accumulate peace, awareness, and vibration. Their ego does not shout, it whispers. It speaks with a soft voice. It says, "Namaste, I send you light. I am working on my detachment." You look at this person and feel admiration. You say, "This person has found the way." Forbidden metaphysics has devastating news for you. They are the same person. They are exactly the same entity. operating under the same psychological structure of greed and fear. The only thing that has changed is the object of their desire. The executive wants to accumulate dollars in the bank. The seeker wants to accumulate karma points in the spiritual bank. Both want to accumulate. Both want to be someone. Both want to stand out above the average. They both want to be the best at their specific game. The executive wants to be the richest in the cemetery. The seeker wants to be the most enlightened in the ashram. Welcome to Chapter 1. Today we are going to study the metamorphosis of the ego. We will discover that spirituality, as practiced by 99% of people, is not the path to liberation. It is a sophisticated decoration project. It is what the Tibetan master Chogyam Trungpa called spiritual materialism. Get ready because we are going to burn the saint's costume. We will look past the incense and the mantras to find the same grasping hand that drives the corporate world, hidden now behind a mask of serenity and sacred words that deceive the world. Spiritual materialism, the trophy room. The ego is, by definition, a structure for survival and accumulation. Its biological function is to separate you from the rest, I am me, you are you, and ensure your self is as strong, secure, and large as possible. In the material world, the ego strengthens itself with physical possessions, houses, watches, and college degrees. But when you enter the spiritual path, they tell you that you must renounce that. The ego panics for a second. How will I survive if I cannot have things? And then it has a brilliant idea. If I cannot have objects, I will have experiences. I will have states, I will have truths. It finds a new way to feed its hunger for more. Observe your own spiritual life with brutal honesty. Don't you have a kind of invisible spiritual curriculum vitae that you like to review? I have done 3 Vipassana silence retreats. I have taken ayahuasca with shamans in Peru. I have read all of Eckhart Tolle's books. I am a level 3 Reiki master. You count your medals. I can hold the lotus position for an hour without moving. I have cleansed my chakras. What are all these things? They are trophies. They are medals your ego hangs on its chest to tell itself, look how far I've come. Look what a beautiful collection of experiences I have. I'm a very spiritual person. You treat teachings as goods. You go to the spiritual supermarket. You buy a little Buddhism, a little astrology, a little quantum physics, a little yoga. You put it all in your basket, take it home, and decorate your personality with it. Now, I am a person who does yoga and understands the stars. You have reinforced your identity. You have built thicker walls. You have made the walls of your ego more beautiful, adorned with mandalas. But you are still inside the prison. In fact, it is now harder to get out, because the prison is so comfortable and you feel so elevated within it that you no longer have a reason to escape. The executive knows he is miserable. The spiritualist is drugged. The Wall Street executive knows deep down that he is miserable. His suffering is evident. He has a better chance of waking up because his pain is raw. But the spiritual materialist believes they are healing. They have drugged themselves with their own self-importance. They are immune to reality and the silence of the truth. The ambition to enlighten the supreme desire. Let's analyze the phrase, I want to become enlightened, or I want to wake up. Who is this I that wants to become enlightened? It is the ego. Why does the ego want to become enlightened? Do you think it is out of love for humanity, out of compassion? No. The ego wants to become enlightened for its own safety and invulnerability. The ego wants enlightenment because it has been told that enlightenment is the supreme state of invulnerability. The ego is afraid of pain. It is afraid of death. It is afraid of uncertainty. And it has been sold the idea that, if it becomes enlightened, it will live in a state of eternal bliss where nothing will ever hurt again. For the ego, enlightenment is the ultimate superpower. It is the final armor. If I become enlightened, no one can hurt me ever again. Therefore, your spiritual search is not an act of surrender. It is an act of conquest. You are trying to conquer God. You are trying to hack the universe to obtain the key to eternal security. It is the maximum expression of ambition. It is more ambitious to want to be a Buddha than to want to be a millionaire. The millionaire only wants to control the market. The seeker wants to control existence. This is the paradox that blocks millions. You cannot reach enlightenment through the desire to achieve something for yourself. Enlightenment is precisely the understanding that there is no one there to achieve anything. It is the death of the self, and the ego does not want to die. It wants to attend its own funeral, read the speech, receive the applause, and then rise again as an enlightened being. It wants to be the protagonist of the movie until the end. The hijacking of sacred technology. To achieve its goal of survival and aggrandizement, the ego hijacks the tools designed to destroy it. It takes meditation, yoga, prayer, and self-inquiry and perverts them. 1. Meditation as an anxiolytic. Meditation was designed to observe the empty nature of the mind and dissolve identification with thought. It is a death. But the ego uses it as a mental spa. I'm going to meditate to relax, lower stress, and perform better at work. It uses the technique to polish the mask, not to tear it off. It sits to meditate waiting for a beautiful experience, colored lights, or feelings of peace. If it has a bad experience, it says that it didn't work. It is consuming meditation like one consumes a sleeping pill. 2. Yoga as aesthetic gymnastics. Yoga was designed to prepare the nervous system to withstand the high tension of Kundalini energy and ego death. The ego uses it for a yoga body, to upload photos to Instagram and to feel more flexible. It is a body cult. 3. Detachment as coldness. Real detachment is the natural result of understanding that nothing belongs to you. The ego uses detachment as an excuse not to commit, to flee from difficult relationships, and to look down on those who cry or suffer. I don't suffer, I flow. That is not detachment, it is dissociation. It is a wall. The hero of the movie, the seeker's narrative. The ego loves stories. It needs a linear narrative, past, present, and future. The spiritual ego creates the most seductive script of all, the hero's journey. I was lost in the darkness, but then I had an awakening. I faced my demons, and now I am ascending toward the light. You see yourself as the star of a cosmic epic. You tell yourself, I am a starseed, I am a light worker, I have an important mission on the planet. These labels are narcotics. They make the ego feel immensely special. I am not a simple human who pays taxes and is afraid. I am an intergalactic warrior. This narrative covers a deep wound of insignificance. It is a lie. The ego is terrified of being ordinary. It is terrified of being one of the crowd. Spirituality offers it a way to be extraordinary without having to achieve anything tangible in the real world. You don't need success, money, or talent. You only need to believe you have a special vibration. It is a refuge for the frustrated. Many seekers are people who failed at the game of material life and, instead of accepting that, invented a new game, the spiritual one, where they are the chosen ones. They hide their inability to handle the physical world behind a curtain of high consciousness, using spirituality as a shield against their own sense of failure. The almost there syndrome. The spiritual ego lives in the future. It is never here. It is always in process. I am working on my heart chakra. I am processing my childhood trauma. I am integrating my shadow. There is always something to fix. There is always one more course to take. There is always one more layer of the onion to peel back and study. This idea of continuous process is delicious for the ego because it guarantees immortality. As long as you are in process, the ego has a job. It has a role. It is the enlightenment project manager. If you became enlightened today, here and now, the ego would be out of a job. It would dissolve. It wants to keep searching. That is why the ego loves the search but hates the finding. It keeps you running on the hamster wheel of healing. It convinces you that you are broken and need to be fixed, and you spend 10, 20, 30 years healing. When will you be ready? Never. Because the premise is false. You are not broken. You never were broken. But if you accept that you are not broken, the seeker's game ends. And the ego does not want the game to end. It thrives on the distance between who you are and who you should be. By maintaining that gap, it ensures its own survival, feeding on the hope of a future perfection that by its very design will never actually arrive. The tyranny of positivity, the smiling ego. One of the most toxic manifestations of this metamorphosis is the obligation to be positive. The spiritual ego judges negative emotions. If you feel anger, envy, or fear, the ego scolds you. You shouldn't feel this. It's not spiritual. Lower your vibration. You have to transmute it. So you repress yourself. You put on a mask. You put on a mask of a beatific smile. You become a fake person. You speak with a soft voice. You say, everything is perfect. But inside you are boiling with repressed rage. That repressed shadow becomes dangerous. The spiritual ego creates a brutal internal division between what I am, human, and what I should be, light. This internal war consumes all your energy. You become rigid. You become neurotic. You are afraid of having a bad thought and manifesting a misfortune. You live in a mental dictatorship, guarded by the spiritual policeman you created yourself. You have lost the freedom to be human in exchange for the illusion of being a saint. Moral superiority, the silent judgment. The clearest symptom that your ego has disguised itself as a monk is the judgment of others. Before, you judged people by their clothes or their money. Now you judge them by their level of consciousness. You look at your family watching TV and think, poor things, they are asleep, they don't know, they eat meat, low vibration. You feel superior. You feel pity for them, which is a form of arrogance. You try to wake them up or save them, not because you love them, but to validate your own truth. If they are wrong, you are right. You surround yourself only with people of your tribe and isolate yourself from the real world, creating an echo bubble. This spiritual elitism is the thickest barrier that exists to true love. You cannot love someone you consider inferior. You cannot connect with someone you are spiritually analyzing and diagnosing. The spiritual ego has left you lonelier than ever, isolated in your ivory tower made of Osho books and quartz crystals. The litmus test, real life. How do you know if you are in this trap? Life will test you. It is easy to feel like a Buddha when you are on a weekend retreat, in silence, with vegan food prepared for you and no cell phone. Anyone is a saint in paradise. But then you go home, and your child breaks a vase, or your partner reproaches you, or your boss yells at you. What happens then? If your piece is shattered into 1,000 pieces and the monster comes out screaming, then your spirituality was a costume. It was cosmetic. It was not real. The spiritual ego hates daily life because daily life does not respect its holiness. Daily life is dirty, noisy, and unpredictable. If you use your spirituality to flee from daily life, you are not going toward God. You are going toward neurosis. True realization is not found in avoiding the world, but in being able to maintain your center in the middle of the market. If you need a special environment to be spiritual, you are not free, you are a slave. The fear of the vacuum, what lies beneath. Why do we do all this? Why do we build this complex structure of beliefs, practices, and identities? Because we are terrified of the void. If we take off the seeker suit, if we stop trying to improve, if we stop having a mission, what is left? Nothingness remains. The terrifying silence of an unscripted existence remains. The fact that we are a speck of dust in an infinite universe and that we are not in control remains. The ego cannot stand that. It prefers to invent a complicated story about chakras, dimensions, and past lives rather than face the naked silence of the now. It prefers to feel guilty or meritorious rather than feel non-existent. Chapter 2, Silent Arrogance. Visualize this scene. It is Christmas or a birthday or any mandatory family gathering. You are sitting at the table. Around you, your family and old friends are doing what they always do. They shout, they drink alcohol, they eat greasy food, they complain about the government, and they talk about football or the latest Netflix series. You are there, physically present, but energetically you are 1,000 miles away. You are in silence. Perhaps you smile slightly, a polite but distant smile. You do not participate in the gossip. You do not eat the meat. You do not drink the wine. You watch them all from a place of cold observation and internal judgment. You look at your uncle, who is red with anger, talking about politics, and you think, poor man, he is completely trapped in the matrix. He has no idea who he really is. You look at your cousin, worried about her makeup, and think, how superficial. If she only knew that beauty is on the inside. You feel like you are superior. You look at your parents and think, they are good people, but they are so asleep. They are like robots, NPCs, non-player characters. Hopefully one day they will wake up. You feel alone. You feel like an alien on a planet of apes. You sigh and tell yourself, it is hard to maintain my vibration here, but I will be compassionate. I will send them light. I have to tell you something that will probably hurt. In that room, the person with the biggest, densest, and most toxic ego is you. Your shouting uncle is honest. He is expressing what he feels without a filter. He is human. Your superficial cousin is enjoying her aesthetic game. She is human. But you are sitting on a throne. You are sitting on an invisible throne looking down on everyone, judging them, labeling them, and condemning them, all while congratulating yourself for being so spiritual. That sense of separation, that I am different, I am special, I know something they don't, is the exact definition of arrogance. It is a hidden poison. But it is not the loud arrogance of the millionaire who brags about his yacht. It is a silent arrogance. It is an odorless and colorless poison that isolates you from real love and locks you in an ivory tower made of metaphysical concepts. Welcome to Chapter 2. Today we are going to dismantle your superiority complex and find the truth. Today we will discover that calling others asleep is the deepest act of sleep. We are going to see that your compassion is often disguised contempt, and we are going to understand why. The more spiritual you think you are, the more unbearable you become to the real world. True awakening does not divide, it unites everything. The myth of the asleep and the awakened. The spiritual ego feeds on duality. It needs to divide the world into two camps so it can place itself in the good camp. Before it was rich versus poor, handsome versus ugly, successful versus failures. Now it is awakened versus asleep, conscious versus unconscious, high vibration versus low vibration. It is the same old game with new labels. This classification is the most addictive drug for the seeker. It allows you to feel part of an elite. You tell yourself, the mass, the flock, is going to the slaughterhouse, but I, the wolf, the lion, the eagle, see the truth. You feel like Neo in the Matrix. You feel like the chosen one. It's a very seductive narrative for the mind. This narrative is seductive because it relieves your sense of insignificance. Perhaps in the material world you are nobody. You have a normal job, debts, problems. But in the spiritual world, you are a potential master. You are a starseed. It is a textbook psychological compensation. The ego uses spirituality to give itself importance. But let's analyze it coldly. What does it mean to be awake? If being awake means judging those who sleep, feeling separate from them, and looking at them with pity, then I prefer to be asleep, because at least the one who sleeps dreams with others. You dream alone. True enlightenment is the deep understanding of oneness. It is seeing God everywhere. It is seeing the Buddha in the drunk, in the corrupt politician, and in the superficial cousin. If you see asleep or inferior people, it is because your glasses are dirty with the stain of your own ego. You are not seeing the reality of their souls. You are projecting your own need to be special. Calling someone asleep is an act of spiritual violence. It is denying their divinity. It is reducing them to an object that needs to be fixed by you. By doing this, you close the door to real connection. You become a judge instead of a brother. You become a barrier to the very light you claim to represent in this world. Pity as a weapon of contempt. Let's talk about that compassion you feel for your family. I feel sorry for them. They suffer for nonsense. Careful. There is a very fine line between compassion and pity, and the spiritual ego lives in pity. Compassion looks the other in the eye as an equal. It recognizes their pain but also their strength and sovereignty. Compassion says, I see your struggle, I respect you, and I'm here if you need me. I know you can handle this because you are God, just like me. Compassion empowers. Pity looks at the other from above. It says, poor thing, they know nothing. They are weak. They are ignorant. I wish they had my wisdom. Pity makes you feel big. When you feel pity for the unconscious, you're putting yourself in the place of God. You're assuming that you know how they should live, and that their way of living is incorrect. Who are you to judge another soul's journey? Perhaps that asleep person who cares about football is learning lessons you have long forgotten. Perhaps that neurotic mother is learning lessons of sacrifice and unconditional love that you, with your detachment, are not able to feel. Your judgment prevents you from learning from them. You have decided that they have nothing to teach you, and therefore you have closed yourself off to half of the entire universe today. The allergy to low vibration. The spiritual ego develops a dramatic hypersensitivity. It becomes allergic to the world. I can't go to that bar. The energy is too dense. I can't talk to that person. They lower my vibration. I don't watch the news. They are toxic. It is true that some environments are denser, and it is healthy to set boundaries. But when your vibration is so fragile that a conversation with your neighbor destroys it, then you don't have a high vibration. You have a neurotic bubble. A true high vibration is strong. It is a sun. A sun does not say, "Oh, I won't go near that dark well because it will put me out." The sun enters the well and illuminates it. The true master can sit in a seedy bar, talk to a prostitute or a thief, and keep his peace intact, and even elevate the other person's peace. Jesus did not hang out with the yogis in the Himalayas. He ate with tax collectors and sinners. If you need to isolate yourself from the world to maintain your peace, it is artificial. It is a laboratory peace that does not survive contact with real air. You use the excuse of energetic protection to justify your fear of life and your inability to love difficult people. It is easier to love humanity in the abstract from your room than to love a specific human being who smells bad and votes for the wrong party. The spiritual ghetto, the tribe of the chosen. Because you feel misunderstood by normals, you seek your tribe. You join yoga groups, ayahuasca retreats, men's or women's circles, conspiracy forums, or online communities. And there you feel good. Finally, people who speak my language. Awakened people. This is natural and necessary at a certain stage of your process. But the danger is creating a spiritual ghetto, an echo chamber where you all repeat to each other how special you are and how bad the outside world is. A cult dynamic is generated, even without a clear leader. Us, the conscious ones, against them, the system, the asleep, the matrix. This reinforces the collective ego. You start to dress the same, to speak the same, using words like flow, resonate, manifest, namaste, and to look with suspicion at anyone who does not use that code. You have become a spiritual clone. You have traded social conformity, suit and tie, for spiritual conformity, robe and mala. You are still a sheep. You are still seeking belonging and approval, only now you seek it in a more exclusive group. The true mystic is an individual. They do not need a uniform or a club to validate their truth. They can be among asleep people and be themselves, or among awakened people and be themselves. They do not depend on the environment. The missionary complex, the unsolicited savior, from this arrogance comes an extremely annoying behavior, spiritual evangelism. You feel the urgent need to wake up others. You give self-help books to people who haven't asked for them. You give nutrition advice to people who are happily eating their hamburger. You talk about chakras to people who wanted to talk weather. You think you are doing them a favor. You think you are generous. In reality, you are being disrespectful and arrogant. You are violating their free will. No one has the right to wake up someone who wants to keep sleeping. It is an aggression. Imagine having a wonderful dream and someone comes and shakes you violently. You would be angry, and rightly so. Behind your desire to help or save lies an egoic need. You need them to change so that you feel comfortable. Their unconsciousness bothers you because it reminds you of parts of yourself that you have not integrated. You need to validate your superiority by having all the answers. The true master is like a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not run along the beach chasing boats to save them. The lighthouse stays still and shines. The boats that need light look for it. The ones that don't pass by. If you have to chase people to give them your light, you are not shining. You are annoying them with a flashlight. The mirror of the ordinary. Why are you so irritated by normal people? Why does trivial talk about the weather or football bother you? Because you are bored with yourself. You have lost the capacity for wonder at the simple. Your ego needs strong stimuli, deep conversations, cosmic revelations, mystical experiences. Ordinary life seems like nothing. But Zen says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The magic is in the ordinary. Your grandmother, who cooks with love for the family, even if she doesn't know how to meditate, is practicing a yoga of service purer than yours. She finds the sacred in the mundane. Your friend who works 12 hours to pay for his daughter's college is practicing a karma yoga of real sacrifice. They find the sacred in the profane. You, however, have separated the two, and now you can only find God in laboratory conditions. You have become spiritually disabled. You need a sterile environment to function. Spiritual narcissism, the pathology. Psychologically, this is called spiritual narcissism. It is one of the most difficult forms of narcissism to cure. Why? Because a normal narcissist, who brags about money or beauty, can eventually realize they are superficial or lose their money and fall into crisis. But the spiritual narcissist has armored his ego with God. If you criticize him, he will tell you that you are darkness attacking the light, or that you are projecting your shadow. He has a perfect defense against any feedback from reality. He interprets any conflict as proof that he is special and the world doesn't understand him. He becomes deaf, he becomes untouchable, and in the end, he stays alone. Surrounded by sycophants if he becomes a small guru, or completely isolated in his bitterness as a misunderstood genius. This path leads to a total disconnection from the very humanity that spirituality is supposed to uplift and transform. It is the ultimate trap of the intellectual soul. The test of real humility. How is this arrogance broken? With radical humility, but not the fake humility of bowing your head and speaking softly. That is more ego. Real humility, as C.S. Lewis said, is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is forgetting about yourself. It is to stop monitoring your spiritual level. It is to stop comparing yourself. Take this test the next time you are with your asleep family. Instead of judging them, shut up and listen. Truly listen, with curiosity, as if they were masters in disguise, which they are. Be interested in their banal lives. Ask your uncle why he is so angry. You might find a shared fear. Ask your cousin how she feels when she does her makeup. You might discover it is her form of art and self-care. Seek the God that dwells in them. If you cannot see it, the blind one is you. Descend from your throne. Return to the valley. On the mountaintop, the air is pure, but nothing grows. It is cold and you are alone. In the valley, where people are, where there is noise, dirt, and chaos, that is where life grows. That is where love is tested. Descending from the spiritual mountain and mixing with humans, without losing your center but without judging theirs, is true mastery. This is the path of the heart that the ego so desperately fears. The danger of dehumanizing. The ultimate goal of this silent arrogance is dangerous: dehumanization. By believing that you are pure spirit or energy, you begin to reject your humanity. You reject your instincts, your body, your low emotions, and your social needs. You want to become an angel too soon, but you came here to be a human being. You came to feel the density. You came to deal with annoying in-laws and bills. Denying your humanity does not bring you closer to divinity. It turns you into a ghost that judges the living. The spiritual ego promises you that if you keep climbing, you will reach heaven and leave earth behind. But it is a lie. The more you climb that ivory tower, the further you get from real heaven, because heaven is interwoven with the earth. God is in the dirt as much as in the incense. If you cannot love the dirt, you do not love God. You love your sanitized idea of God. Reclaim your human heart and find the light in the shadows of the real world. Chapter 3. The Peace Bunker. Using spirituality as anesthesia against real life. There is a scene that repeats in therapy offices and breakups all over the world. A person is crying, shattered, screaming their pain, their fear, or their rage. It is an erupting volcano. In front of them stands their spiritual partner. He or she is sitting with a straight back and a slight Mona Lisa smile on their lips. It is a wall. Their gaze is glassy and distant. They do not flinch. They do not get upset. With a soft and monotonous voice they say, "Everything is perfect. It's your process. I send you light. I am not going to lower my vibration for your drama." You look at that scene and think, wow, what self-control, what peace they have. You are deceived. Forbidden metaphysics tells you that is not peace, that is disguised psychopathy, or being more technical, dissociation. That person is not centered, they are disconnected. They have built a reinforced concrete wall between their consciousness and their emotions. They are so afraid of feeling pain that they have built a peace bunker. They have used the bricks of spirituality to hide. Inside, no noise enters, no pain enters, but no air enters either, nor love, nor life. It is a very comfortable coffin, decorated with mandalas and scented with sandalwood incense. Welcome to Chapter 3. Today we are going to talk about spiritual bypassing. We will find the truth. Today we will discover that your peace is often cowardice. We are going to see that using mantras to avoid feeling pain is the same as using heroin. And we are going to understand that you did not come to this life to float above it, but to get your hands dirty with the mud of existence. True spirituality is inhabiting the human experience. What is spiritual bypassing, the false shortcut? The term was coined by psychologist John Wellwood in the 1980s. He defined it as the use of spiritual practices and beliefs to avoid facing painful feelings, unresolved psychological wounds, and fundamental tasks of personal development. Basically, it is a shortcut. Life hurts. Trauma hurts. Real relationships hurt deeply. Real healing work involves going down to the basement, the shadow cleaning the mess, crying the uncried tears, and setting uncomfortable boundaries. It is a dirty, long, and unglamorous job. The spiritual ego looks at that work and says, "Ugh, how tedious, I'd better skip that part." So it takes the elevator straight to the attic. It takes the elevator to enlightenment. It tells itself, "I am not the body, I am the spirit. Pain is an illusion. Everything is Maya." Intellectually it is right, but emotionally it is a fraud. Because while you are in the attic chanting Om, in the basement there is a wounded child screaming that the house is on fire. You are hiding. No matter how much you turn up the volume of your mantras, the fire keeps rising. Spiritual bypassing is metaphysical morphine. Morphine does not cure the wound. It only tricks the brain into not feeling the pain. If you have a gangrenous leg and take morphine, you will feel great while the leg rots and kills you. It is a slow death. If you have a trauma and use meditation to avoid feeling it, you will feel at peace, while your neurosis grows in the shadow and destroys your life. You are not transcending, you are avoiding. The only way out is through, and spirituality used as a shield only delays the inevitable confrontation with your own repressed humanity. Symptom 1. Toxic positivity, the tyranny of good vibes only. The main brick of the bunker is mandatory positivity, good vibes only. Don't complain. Cancel, cancel. This seems healthy, but it becomes emotional fascism. You forbid yourself and others from having normal human emotions. If you feel sad, you judge yourself. I am failing. I am lowering my frequency. I have to be happy now. You force yourself to smile while inside you are crying. This creates a brutal cognitive dissonance. You are at war with your own biology. Sadness has a function, to process loss. Anger has a function, to defend boundaries. Fear has a function, to alert of dangers. If you amputate these, you become an emotional cripple. You are numb. And the worst is what you do to others. When someone tells you a real problem, a death, a job loss, you respond with fortune cookie phrases. Everything happens for a reason. It's a lesson you chose. Look on the bright side. You think you are helping. In reality, you are invalidating their pain. You are silencing their soul. You are telling them, "Your pain makes me uncomfortable, so cover it quickly with spiritual glitter so I don't have to feel it." It is a lack of empathy disguised as wisdom. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can say is, "This sucks. I'm so sorry. I'm here with you in the mud." That is connection. The rest is just evasion. Symptom 2. Dissociation versus detachment. Here is the great confusion. Detachment is the goal, dissociation is the disease, and they look very similar from the outside. Detachment, healthy. You feel the emotion fully. You let it pass through you. You cry if you have to cry, but you don't stay hooked. You know you are the sky and the emotion is the cloud. You are alive. Dissociation, unhealthy. You feel nothing. You have left the body. There is a plexiglass wall between you and the world. You say, I don't care, but it's actually, I can't allow myself to care because if I do, I break. It is rigidity. It is death. People in the peace bunker are often traumatized. They think feeling is dangerous. Spirituality gave them the perfect excuse never to feel again. They become like Teflon. Nothing sticks to them, but nothing nourishes them either. They don't suffer much, it's true, but they don't love much either. They don't enjoy much. They live on a flat line. A flat EKG means death. Life is peaks and valleys. If you avoid one, you lose the other. Symptom 3, divine justification, God as an excuse. The ego in the bunker uses elevated metaphysical concepts to justify its inaction or its lack of responsibility. Faced with injustice, it's karma. If those children suffer, it's because they chose it. I must not interfere. Translation: I'm too lazy to help or too afraid to get involved, so I wash my hands with karma. It's cold. Faced with failure, the universe didn't want it to happen, it didn't flow. Translation: I didn't try hard enough, I didn't plan well, or I was afraid to take a risk. But I blame the universe so I don't feel like a failure. Faced with hurting others, we are all mirrors. If it hurt, it's your unhealed wound. This is cruel. Translation: I am a narcissistic jerk who treated you badly, but I use the mirror theory to avoid apologizing and to blame you for your own reaction. This is spiritual gaslighting. It is using absolute truth, where everything is perfect, to justify the relative lie, where you behaved like an idiot. You must live in the relative. Symptom 4, conflict phobia, the spiritual nice guy. People in the bunker are terrified of conflict. They think arguing is low vibration. They think anger is unevolved, so they become passive-aggressive. They will never tell you to your face that they are angry. That would be too earthly. Instead, they give you the silent treatment. They arrive late unintentionally. They forget important things. They say sarcastic things with a sweet smile. They say, I'll pray for you to heal your anger. This is the most hypocritical form of violence. Clean anger is sacred. A timely shout, an honest enough, clears the air. It is a storm that discharges tension. Repressed anger disguised as goodness is toxic. If you are not able to say no firmly, your yes is worth nothing. If you are not able to defend yourself, your peace is not peace. It is helplessness. Many peaceful people are simply harmless individuals who are afraid to fight. Real peace is the choice of the strong who could fight but decide to negotiate. The pressure cooker effect. What happens when you repress your human emotions in the basement of the bunker for years? Physics law. The pressure increases. You keep the smile. You keep the soft voice. You meditate 2 hours a day. But the shadow grows, and one day the valve bursts, and it's usually over something small. You lose control entirely. Someone cuts in line at the supermarket and you, the great yogi, explode in a homicidal rage. Or you fall into a secret addiction, sex, food, alcohol, to compensate for so much restriction. Or you develop an autoimmune disease, the body attacking itself because you don't let it attack outward. Energy must find a way out. If it doesn't come out through the door, conscious expression, it comes out through the cracks. Symptoms and neurosis. You cannot suppress the human animal indefinitely without paying a price. The more you try to be an angel of light, the more your internal demon prepares for a violent and uncontrolled takeover of your life. The fallacy of transcending before integrating. Ken Wilber says, you have to have a healthy ego before you can transcend it. You cannot let go of something you do not have. Many people try to kill the ego without having built a functional personality first. They are people who can't manage their finances or relationships, and they want to merge with the all. That is not transcendence, it is regression. It is wanting to return to the womb. It is wanting to be a cosmic baby who has no responsibilities. True spirituality is adulting. It is taking charge of your life, paying your debts, taking care of your bonds. And besides connecting with the divine, it is a full responsibility. The litmus test: intimacy. Where does the bunker fall? In romantic relationships, you can meditate alone in a cave for 20 years and feel enlightened. But get married, have children and a mortgage, and we'll see how long your enlightenment lasts. The partner is the most implacable mirror. The partner touches the wounds you thought were healed. The spiritual evader usually flees from relationships when they get difficult or low vibration. They jump from partner to partner, looking for their perfect twin flame, because they can't stand the friction of a real relationship. Or they stay, but emotionally absent. Their partner feels alone. You are here, but you aren't. The descent into the mud: true healing. How do we get out of the bunker? By opening the basement door. You have to be willing to feel bad to be able to truly feel good. You have to be willing to admit, I am sad, I am afraid, I am jealous, I feel alone, I am not perfect. I am not a being of light all the time. Sometimes I am a scared gremlin. That confession is the key. That radical vulnerability is more spiritual than 1,000 hours of meditation. When you touch your pain without anesthesia, when you allow yourself to cry until you are dry, when you allow yourself to tremble with fear, something magical happens. The pain transforms. By being seen and accepted, it flows and releases you. What remains after the storm is not an artificial piece of concrete. It is an organic piece. It is the peace of the survivor. It is the calm after the rain. It smells like wet earth. It is real. It is a peace that includes chaos, not one that denies it. You can be sad and at peace at the same time. You can be human and divine. Exercise: breaking the glass. I propose an exercise of brutal honesty. Stop repeating positive affirmations for one day. Sit down and ask yourself, what is it that I do not want to feel? What am I avoiding with my spirituality? Is it the pain that my parents didn't love me? Is it the terror of not being enough? Is it the rage of having been abused? Let it rise. Don't put white light on it. Don't put Reiki on it. Don't wrap it in violet flames. Just feel it. Say, I see you. You are part of me. You have a right to be here. Embrace your monster. You will see that the monster didn't want to kill you. It only wanted to be heard. And by listening to it, the bunker becomes unnecessary. Life is raw and sacred. Stop wanting life to be an immaculate Zen garden. Life is a jungle. There are beautiful flowers and there are predators. There is decomposition and there is birth. There is mud and there is light. Everything is sacred. Shit is fertilizer. Without shit, there are no flowers. The spiritual evader wants the flowers without the fertilizer. It is impossible. Embrace your mud. Get your hands dirty. Love your broken, imperfect, neurotic, and wonderful humanity. God didn't create you to be a light robot. He created you to be a sensing human. Feel. It is the only way out. Only by fully inhabiting your human form can you hope to touch the true essence of the divine. Chapter 4. The Hijacking of Silence. When the ego says, look how well I am meditating. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize a Zen monk sitting in a perfect lotus position, straight back, imperceptible breathing, face as serene as a lake without wind. It is the very image of spirituality. Now, imagine you could put a microphone inside his head. If that monk is you, what you would hear is not the silence of the void. You would hear something like this. Inhale, exhale, that's it, very good. I am very concentrated today, not like yesterday when I was distracted. Oops, my knee itches. Don't scratch. Masters, don't scratch. Transcend the itch. That's it. I am pure consciousness. Wow, what peace I feel. I'm so good at this. I'll tell my yoga group later. Do you see it? There is no silence. There is a sports commentator. There is a narrator who is describing your meditation in real time, judging it, correcting it, and congratulating himself for it. That commentator is the ego, and he has achieved the most impressive feat of all. He has hijacked silence. He is now the owner of the piece. He has turned the practice designed to assassinate him into his main stage. Now meditating is not the act of dissolving the I, it is the act of polishing the I until it shines so much that it dazzles others and yourself. Welcome to Chapter 4. Today we enter your zendo, your altar, your mat. We will see the truth behind the stillness. Today we will discover that your iron discipline is sometimes just neurotic rigidity. We will see that your search for mystical experiences is spiritual gluttony, and we will understand that true silence has no one inside to say, "Look how silent I am." True silence is the absence of the narrator, the end of the internal commentator. The meditator, just one more identity. The ultimate goal of meditation is the realization that no one is home. There is no thinker behind the thoughts. There are only thoughts occurring. There is no meditator. There is only meditation occurring. But the ego is terrified of not existing. So, when you sit to meditate, the ego quickly puts on the disguise of the meditator. An identity is created. I am a disciplined, spiritual, and conscious person who sits every morning. This identity needs maintenance. It needs proof that it exists. That's why it monitors the session constantly. It divides itself in two, the one trying to concentrate, and the one watching if the first one is concentrating well. It is a split. This duality, actor and watcher, creates a subtle tension. You are never completely relaxed. You are in a state of mental micromanagement. You are doing meditation instead of being meditation. And as long as there is a doer, the ego is in charge. The ego is safe. You can spend 40 years on a cushion and only achieve a flexible ego. The trap of good and bad meditation. The ego is a judge. It lives on comparison and labeling. When you finish your practice, the ego issues a verdict. Case A. Your mind was full of noise. You thought about the grocery list. Your back hurt. Verdict. Bad meditation. You failed. You are a disaster. You have to try harder tomorrow. You are still very much asleep. Case B. Your mind was still. You saw violet lights. You felt an expansion in your chest and lost track of time. Verdict. Incredible. Good meditation. I am advancing. I almost enlightened. I am special. I want more of this. Result. Pride, attachment, and desire. High-octane fuel for the ego. Both verdicts are traps for your mind. There are no good or bad meditations. Meditation is simply what is. If there is noise, there is noise. Observing the noise without judging it is meditation. If there is silence, there is silence. Observing the silence without clinging to it is meditation. But the moment you label the session as bad, you create resistance and conflict. And the moment you label it as good, you create greed. Spiritual greed is the thickest barrier that exists. The desire to repeat a past ecstatic experience prevents you from being present in the boring experience of now. You become a spiritual dopamine junkie, chasing the high of peace and rejecting the hangover of the noise. Fireworks versus the boring nothingness. Let's talk about that greed. Many seekers do not seek truth. They seek special effects. They want to see angels, feel like they are leaving their body, see sacred geometry, feel the kundalini rising. The ego loves these experiences. They are cinematic. They are great anecdotes to tell spiritual friends or to write in a diary. Today I saw Archangel Gabriel. Today I felt I was one with the cosmos. The ego appropriates the experience immediately. Mine! This happened to me. It turns the sacred into a trophy. But true meditation, the kind that dissolves the ego, is usually disappointingly boring. It is sitting and doing nothing. It is a desert. It is looking at a white wall. It is the dry, empty silence without neon lights. The ego hates that boring emptiness. In the void, the ego suffocates. It has nothing to talk about. It has no drama. It has no content. Therefore, when meditation becomes deep and empty, the ego usually invents distractions. It makes your nose itch. It brings a brilliant idea for your business. It reminds you of a catchy song. Or it projects a false mystical vision to entertain you. Anything rather than disappearing into nothingness. The true master is not measured by how many lights he sees, but by his ability to remain in the nothingness without getting bored or seeking fun. The spy in the head, the false witness. In many traditions, people talk about developing the witness, sakshi, observing thoughts without getting involved. It is a powerful tool, but the ego is cunning and creates a false witness. Instead of an open and relaxed consciousness that simply knows what is happening, the ego creates a neurotic spy. It is an internal police. It is one part of your mind watching the other part of your mind with tension. It's like a security guard looking at the surveillance cameras searching for thieves. Aha! A thought! I caught you. Back to the breath. This constant vigilance consumes an immense amount of energy. It creates an internal division in your soul. You are at war with yourself. One half of you tries to subdue the other half. True consciousness does not watch, it welcomes. It is like the sky. The sky does not watch the clouds, saying, "That cloud is ugly, go away." The sky simply is the space where the clouds pass. It makes no effort. If you are making an effort, you are not present. Posture as performance. How much of your practice is aesthetic? Do you need the special €80 Zafu cushion? Do you need the white linen clothes? Do you need the Nag Champa incense imported from India? Do you need the altar with the crystals perfectly aligned? If they took all that away and sat you on a plastic chair in a dirty kitchen, could you meditate? If the answer is no, or it would be harder, then your meditation is a performance, it is theater. The ego needs the ritual and the costume to get into character. Now I am the sacred meditator. The ritual helps at first, yes, it creates a habit, but it becomes a crutch. You cling to the form and lose the essence of the void. You believe that spirituality is what you do on the cushion, and when you get up from the cushion, you take off the costume and go back to being the same neurotic as always. True meditation has no uniform. It happens in the bank line, in the traffic jam, and while washing dishes. If you need an environment, your God is fragile. Aggressive silence, using silence as a weapon. There is a form of silence that screams. It is when you use your practice to separate yourself from others. You are at home, your partner or children are making noise, and you are meditating. You get angry. You leave the room with a frown and say, "I am meditating, I need silence, you don't respect my practice." It's an attack. You just used meditation to generate conflict. Your peace depends on the world shutting up. That is not peace, it is control. It is the ego saying, "My practice is more important than your life. I am important. Make space for me." The spiritual ego feels entitled to special privileges. Silence the saint is working. It's vanity. If you can't meditate with noise, you don't know how to meditate. Noise is part of the present. The garbage truck is God. The children's screams are God. If you reject the noise, you are rejecting reality. And meditating is accepting reality, not fleeing from it into a soundproof bubble. True peace is found in the center of the storm. The insight trap, the idea hunter. Sometimes in the silence, profound understandings, insights arise. You understand something about your life, about the universe, a solution to a problem. It's wonderful, but the ego is a fast hunter. In the nanosecond an insight arises, the ego pounces on it and kills it. It turns the living truth into a dead concept. How does it kill it? By turning it into a concept. Wow, I've understood that everything is one. How deep? I have to write it down. I have to make an Instagram post about this. I have to explain it to my friend so he sees how wise I am. Instead of vibrating in the truth of the understanding, you pack it up to sell it. It's over. The living experience becomes dead memory. And you spend the next few years repeating that phrase. As I understood in my 2018 meditation, everything is one. You live off the interest of a past experience. The manna from heaven rots if you keep it for tomorrow. The ego is an accumulator of dead truths and old stories. The effort of not thinking. The most misunderstood mandate in history. Clear your mind. The ego hears this and says, "At your command, I will silence the mind by force." A pitched battle begins. Every time a thought arises, the ego hits it with a club. "Shut up, I am meditating." This generates a deafening noise of repression. It is a mental war. Attempting not to think is thinking. It is thinking about not thinking. It is like trying to smooth the water of a lake by hitting it with an iron plate. You only create more waves. The ego cannot surrender to itself. The mind cannot silence the mind. Silence is not done. Silence is noticed. It is always there in the back. Silence is already there beneath the noise. It is the wallpaper. You don't have to create silence, you have to stop being interested in the noise. It is an act of disinterest, not of effort. But the ego does not like disinterest. The ego wants to work hard to earn the medal of enlightenment. It wants to feel it has earned it. Post-meditation superiority. The most dangerous moment is right when you open your eyes after a good session. You feel light, centered, compassionate. You look at the world and see it as chaotic and frantic. And the thought arises, I wish everyone meditated. The world would be a better place. I am contributing peace to the world. I am a beacon of light. Zap! The ego has returned through the front door disguised as philanthropy. You feel superior to non-meditators. You feel cleaner, purer. That purity is a barrier. It separates you from dirty humanity. If your practice makes you feel superior to even one person, your practice has failed. You are further from the truth. True meditation should make you feel more human, more equal, closer to the mud, not further away. It should dissolve the barrier between you and the other, not erect a wall of high vibration. If you feel special after sitting, you have only fed the monster. Real spiritual progress is marked by the disappearance of the I, not its expansion. I am not the body, advanced dissociation. A common technique is inquiry, neti-neti. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the emotion. It is a metaphysical truth, but the ego uses it to dissociate. If you have a trauma, if you hate your body, if you have chronic pain, the ego loves the idea of not being the body. It uses truth as an escape from the physical. Great. If I am not the body, I don't have to take care of it or feel it or love it. I can ignore it and live in the astral. You use absolute truth to abandon your relative responsibility. You see meditators who treat their body like an old junker because they are pure spirit. That is a slow suicide. You are responsible for the vessel. You are not the body, true, but you are the one responsible for the body. It is your temple, it is your vehicle. True realization is not fleeing the body upwards. It is bringing the spirit downwards and flooding the body with consciousness. It is feeling every cell alive, not becoming numb. Inhabit your skin with total presence, the observer of the observer. You reach an advanced level. You are able to observe your thoughts. You feel like the witness. You think you have arrived. But who is the one feeling like the witness? Who is the one saying, I am observing? It is still the ego. The ego has hidden one step further back. Now it thinks it is the soul. It's a game of mirrors. It is an infinite recursive trap. As long as there is a point from which you observe, there is ego. The final liberation is not observing. It is being the observing. There is no subject. There is no object. There is only vision. It is collapsing the distance. But this terrifies the ego because there he truly disappears into the all. The proposal, Wu Wei, do nothing. So how do we meditate without the ego hijacking it? The answer is disappointing for the ego. Do nothing, sit down, and abandon all intention. Abandon the intention to relax. Abandon the intention to enlighten. Abandon the intention to concentrate. Abandon the intention to be spiritual. Be a piece of meat on a chair. If there is noise, there is noise. Let it be. Don't touch it. If there is an itch, there is an itch. If you fall asleep, you fall asleep. This is the hardest meditation in the world. Shikantaza, just sitting. No goal, no gain, no medal. The ego will go crazy. It will shout, we are wasting time, do something, repeat a mantra. Don't listen to him, let him shout. Eventually, if you don't give him work, the ego gets tired and falls asleep. And when the ego falls asleep out of boredom, real silence appears. Not the silence manufactured by mental control, but the silence that was always there waiting for you to stop trying to improve it. Chapter 5. The Interpretation Trap, labeling everything as a lesson to avoid raw pain. The obsession with connecting the dots, spiritual Stockholm syndrome, and why asking why me, is the most sophisticated form of resistance. Imagine you are walking down the street, you trip over a broken tile, and you fall on your face. You break your nose. There is blood, there is pain, there is shame, you are a mess. 1 second after the impact, even before you get up from the ground, your spiritual ego has already entered the scene with its notebook. It doesn't allow you to feel the pain of the blow. It doesn't allow you to say, shit, that hurts. Immediately, the interpreter begins to speak. Why did this happen? Of course. I was walking too fast. The universe is telling me I have to slow down. It's a sign. Also, I hit my nose, which represents pride. It's a message from my guides to work on my humility. Thank you, universe, for this lesson, even if it comes wrapped in blood. Do you realize what you just did? You intellectualized a physical event. You turned a stupid and painful accident into a cosmic masterclass. Why? Because your ego cannot stand chaos. It cannot stand the idea that random and painful things can happen to you for no reason. That makes it feel vulnerable. If you break your nose by chance, you are a victim of randomness. You are fragile and small. But if you break your nose because the universe is teaching you humility, then you are the protagonist of a divine plan. You are important. The universe takes the trouble to break your face so that you improve. Welcome to Chapter 5. Today we will talk about the meaning paranoia. It is a subtle defense for your mind. Today we will discover that the obsessive search for signs and lessons is not wisdom. It is a neurotic defense mechanism to avoid feeling raw life. We will see that sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, and a misfortune is just a misfortune. We will learn that true freedom is not in the why, but in the what. The ego as a movie scriptwriter. The ego is a compulsive narrator. It suffers from horror vacui, fear of the void. If there is a blank space in the story, it fills it. If you get fired and don't know why, the ego panics at the uncertainty. So it invents a script. This happened because something better is on the way. My vibration no longer resonated with them. Maybe it's true or maybe not. Maybe your boss just wanted to save costs or the economy is bad, but the ego doesn't care about facts. It cares about narrative coherence. It needs your life to look like a movie with a logical plot, where you are the hero overcoming tests to reach redemption. It creates a false sense of security. This need to give meaning to everything acts like an airbag. It cushions the blow of reality. It prevents you from feeling despair, fear, or pure injustice. It seems like a useful survival tool, and it is in small doses. But when it becomes chronic, it disconnects you from reality. You live in symbols, not in facts. You stop seeing reality. You only see your interpretation of reality. And worst of all, you stop feeling. Interpreted pain, it's a lesson, hurts much less than raw pain. I've been hurt. By reducing the pain, you think you've won. But by reducing the pain, you also reduce the real transformation. It's a trade-off. Real transformation doesn't happen in the head by understanding the lesson. It happens in the gut, by feeling the impact. By avoiding the sting, you miss the alchemy. True growth requires you to experience the friction of existence without the protective layer of labels, allowing life to touch you exactly as it is. The fallacy of Earth School. There is a widespread belief in the New Age. Earth is a school and we have come to learn. This belief is the foundation of the interpretation trap. If this is a school, then everything that happens is a subject or an exam. And if everything is an exam, then there is a correct answer. The mind becomes obsessed. If there is a correct answer, the ego becomes obsessed with finding it to pass. What do I have to learn from this abusive relationship so as not to repeat it? What is this illness teaching me? This mentality keeps you in a state of spiritual infantilism. You are always seeking the teacher's approval for your life. You become an eternal child looking at the sky asking, "Did I do well, Daddy Universe? Have I learned the lesson? Can you stop hitting me now?" You assume that the universe is a sadistic pedagogue who tortures you so you become wise. What if Earth is not a school? What if it is a playground or a jungle or art? In a jungle, if a lion bites you, it's not to teach you anything. It's because the lion was hungry and you were there. There is no moral lesson. There is biology. There is interaction. By constantly seeking the lesson, you blame yourself. If the lion bit me, it's because my vibration wasn't high. That is a delusion. No, he bit you because he is a lion, period. Accepting the randomness and the lack of pedagogical meaning of certain events is terrifying for the ego, but it is the beginning of maturity. It is realizing that the world does not revolve around your personal curriculum, and that beauty and pain often exist without reason. The abuse of the law of the mirror. The law of the mirror, what you see in the other is in you, is a deep psychological truth of projection, but the spiritual ego has turned it into a weapon of auto-gaslighting. It is used to deny the objective reality of evil or aggression. Example: your partner shouts and insults you. You feel attacked and hurt. Healthy, natural reaction. This guy is a jerk, I'm angry, I'm setting a limit, I'm leaving. Spiritual ego reaction. The interpreter. Wait, if he shouts at me, it's because I shout at myself inside. He is my mirror. He is showing me my lack of self-love. I must be grateful for this shadow work. This is a trap. Result: you stay in the abusive relationship. You stay because you believe the problem is you. You interpret external aggression as an internal deficiency of yours. You deactivate your psychological immune system, anger, through a metaphysical interpretation. Sometimes a mirror is a mirror, but sometimes an idiot is an idiot. Knowing how to distinguish when the other is reflecting you and when the other is simply being toxic requires discernment, not dogmas. If you label everything as my projection, you become unable to defend yourself. You become an open door for any predator who wants to convince you that their abuse is your lesson. The why versus the what. The ego is obsessed with the why. The soul or consciousness is only concerned with the what. Imagine you are on a sinking ship. The ego asks, why is it sinking? Was it the iceberg? Was it the captain? Is it ship karma? Why me? While the ego seeks causes and philosophical culprits, the water reaches your neck. Consciousness observes, the ship is sinking, there is cold water, there is a lifeboat there, swim toward the boat. Consciousness deals with the immediate reality, tathata or suchness. The ego deals with the story about reality. When a misfortune happens to you, the question why is a form of resistance. It is a way of saying, I don't want this to be happening, so I'm going to analyze it until I find a logic that makes it acceptable. But often, there is no logic, or the logic is inaccessible to your human mind. Getting stuck in the why prevents you from dealing with the what. You are lost in thought. My wife left me, why? What did I do wrong? Are they my childhood wounds? Paralysis by analysis. My wife left me. I'm sad. I'm alone at home. There is silence. I feel pain in my chest. Contact with reality. Only when you contact the what, the raw sensation, can you process it. Your body knows how to heal facts, not stories. The intellectual analysis can wait, or it may never arrive. And it doesn't matter. You don't need to understand the fire to know that it burns and that you have to take your hand away. True wisdom lies in the ability to inhabit the present moment, even when it's uncomfortable, without the need to explain it away. Toxic gratitude, Stockholm Syndrome. The interpreter forces you to be grateful for everything, even the unacceptable. I thank my abuser because he made me strong. I thank the economic ruin because it made me minimalist. This is perverse. It is the ego trying to win the game at any cost. It wants to feel like it is in control of the narrative. If they hurt you and you get angry, you feel like you've lost. But if they hurt you and you say thank you, it was a lesson, you feel like you've won. You turn defeat into moral victory. You thought you were hurting me, but you were actually helping me. Haha, I win. It's a defense mechanism to avoid humiliation. You don't have to be grateful to whoever damaged you. You can be proud of yourself for having survived, yes. But you don't have to disguise trash as a gift. Trash is trash. You were able to recycle it, your merit. But don't thank the garbage man for throwing it on you. You owe him nothing for your own resilience. That premature gratitude prevents the grieving cycle from closing. You skip the phase of anger, necessary for dignity, and jump straight to gratitude, false holiness. This fake peace is unstable because it is built on top of suppressed resentment. Real gratitude arises spontaneously from healing. It cannot be forced by the ego. Clean pain versus dirty pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You already know the phrase, but let's dissect it. Clean pain. The direct physical and emotional sensation of an event. You break your leg. It hurts. Your dog dies. Deep sadness, void, crying. It lasts as long as the chemistry in the body. It is a wave. It comes, rolls over you and goes. Dirty pain, suffering. This is clean pain plus the interpreter's story. My dog died. Why now? He was my only friend. The universe hates me. I'll never be happy. It's a punishment. This layer of interpretation dirties the pain. It turns it into glue. It makes it chronic. Clean pain burns and cauterizes. Dirty pain infects and suppurates. The interpretation trap creates dirty pain constantly. By trying to explain the pain, you perpetuate it. You ruminate on it. You chew it. What does this mean? It means it hurts, that's all. If you allowed yourself to feel the clean pain without a single word or metaphysical cause, you would be surprised how fast it passes. Emotional energy wants to move. Emotion, energy in motion. Interpretation is a dam that stops the river to analyze the water. Break the dam. Let the river carry you. By feeling the raw sensation without judgment, you allow the biological process to complete itself, leaving you clear and truly ready for what comes next. Signalitis, magical paranoia. The spiritual ego sees signs in everything. It sees a repeated number, 1111, and builds a movie. It sees a feather on the ground and believes it's an angel confirming its decision to buy a car. A black cat crosses its path and it cancels a meeting. This is not spirituality, it is neurotic superstition. It is a lack of focus. It is the ego desperately seeking external validation for its decisions. It is afraid of choosing for itself, sovereignty. So it delegates responsibility to signs. I didn't want to leave the job, but I saw 3 red cars in a row and felt it was a sign. If it goes wrong, it's not your fault, it's the sign's fault. It's a way of not becoming an adult. The adult decides and assumes the consequences. The child seeks permission from parents or angels. Sometimes 1111 is just you looking at the clock at that moment. Sometimes a feather is just a mangy pigeon passing by. Ceasing to load the world with magical meanings returns your sanity. It allows you to see the world with freshness, instead of seeing it as a treasure map encoded only for you. When you stop looking for confirmation outside, you begin to hear the clear voice of your own authority inside. You no longer need the universe to whisper in your ear when you trust the strength of your own feet. The silence of God, the real test of faith. The true spiritual test happens when things go wrong and there is no lesson. When an absurd tragedy occurs, when you suffer and the sky is silent, when there are no whys, that is where the ego truly breaks. That is where the interpreter runs out of script. My God, why have you abandoned me? It's the end of the game. That cry is the end of interpretation. It is the moment you realize there is no daddy explaining things to you. You are alone before the mystery. And in that terrifying silence, if you can hold it without inventing a quick story to comfort yourself, you find something indestructible. You find the core of your own being. You find the ability to be present in hell without burning. You find a faith that doesn't depend on understanding the plan, but on trusting life even if you don't understand it. That is the mystic's faith. The other, the faith that needs explanations and lessons, is just business. Real devotion is staying in the dark without a lamp, living without a script, freshness. What would your life be like if you stopped interpreting? Imagine it. You wake up. It rains. Interpretation. What a sad day. Surely everything goes wrong today. Scriptless reality. Water falling. Sound. Humidity. Cold. You meet someone. They give you a bad look. You don't take it personally. You just see the face. Interpretation. They dislike me. I have bad energy today. It's because... Scriptless reality. A pair of eyes looking at you with tension. Contracted facial muscles. Maybe their teeth hurt. You don't know. You go your way. Living without interpreting is living light. You take tons of mental weight off your shoulders today. You stop being the center of the universe. Not everything that happens is a message for you. You reclaim curiosity. Instead of, I already know what this means, lesson, you say, I don't know what this is. I'm going to see it. You fall in love with reality again because you see it naked, without the clothes of your spiritual concepts. The danger of killing the messenger, intuition. Watch out. I'm not saying that intuition doesn't exist. Sometimes you have a visceral hunch, a danger alert, or a magnetic attraction. That is real. That is instinctive intelligence. But intuition is fast, neutral, and physical. It doesn't tell stories. It says, don't go in there, period. It is an immediate signal. The interpreter, ego, is slow, emotional, and wordy. It says, don't go in there because the vibration is dark, and you are a being of light, and yesterday you saw a crow, and... Learn to distinguish the dry voice of intuition from the baroque voice of the interpreter. Follow intuition. Silence the interpreter. Your body never lies. The proposal: meaning fast. To detoxify from this addiction, I propose a meaning fast. For 1 week, forbid yourself from using the words lesson, karma, sign, mirror, universe. Everything happens for a reason. If something bad happens, say, this sucks, it hurts, I'm angry. If something good happens, say, great, I enjoy it. Stay simple. Stay on the surface. Paradoxically, by staying on the surface of facts, you will go deeper into the real experience of living than when you were diving in your mental theories. Reclaim your right to learn nothing. Reclaim your right to have a bad day without spiritual justification. Reclaim your humanity. Be real, not enlightened. Chapter 6. The Progress Addict. The Obsession with Levels of Consciousness and Self-Improvement. We live in the era of optimization. We optimize our computers, our diets, our sleep, and our finances. It was inevitable that the ego, in its infinite cunning, would decide to optimize the soul as well. You have believed a fundamental lie. The lie says, you are not enough as you are now. You need to improve. You need to evolve. They have sold you a map, a vertical map, a ladder to heaven. They have told you that you are at level 1, fear, survival, and that you have to reach level 10, enlightenment, unconditional love. And you, as a diligent student, have put on your running shoes and started climbing the ladder. You have been climbing for years now. You have read 50 books. You have gone to 20 workshops. You have cleansed your liver and your aura. And yet, you look up, and the summit seems just as far away as at the beginning. You look down, and you still have the same fears, the same insecurities, and the same rages. But now you feel guilty for having them because you should be over them. Welcome to Chapter 6. Today we are going to talk about the addiction to progress. We will discover that spirituality is not a role-playing game, RPG, where you accumulate experience points to level up. We will see that the idea of healing has become a way to procrastinate on life, and we will face the most radical truth: there is nowhere to go. There is no one to become. You are already complete. And that, for the ego, is the worst possible news. To the ego, completeness is death because it thrives on the pursuit of a better version of yourself. Today, we break the ladder and learn to inhabit the ground you are already standing on. Your liberation begins with your surrender to the now, the gamification of the spirit, leveling up. The ego has turned awakening into a video game. Look at how we talk. I am vibrating in 5D. I have unlocked my third eye. I have raised my level of consciousness according to the Hawkins scale. I am an old soul. You treat your soul as if it were a character in World of Warcraft. You want better weapons, crystals, and armor. You want better armors, energetic protections, and better skills, intuition, channeling. You compare yourself with other players. That one is still at the 3D level, poor noob. I am already an advanced player. This video game mentality is purely linear. It is based on time, past, I was worse, and present, hard work. Future, I will be better. But the spirit does not live in time. It lives in the eternal now. God does not evolve. God is. Consciousness does not improve. Consciousness simply contains all that is. When you try to evolve spiritually, you are applying material laws, time, effort, accumulation, to an immaterial realm that works with opposite laws. It works with laws of presence, surrender, and emptying. You are trying to reach the horizon. The more you run toward the horizon, your enlightened self, the further it recedes. Because the horizon is an imaginary line created by your own vision, it does not exist. The perfect you of the future is a carrot tied to a stick on your forehead. You will never catch up with yourself. And in the attempt, you miss the only real life you have, the one right now, imperfect and messy. By chasing a future state of grace, you reject the current state of being, which is the only place where true peace can ever be found. Stop running and look at where your feet are already planted. The myth of the infinite onion, the healing trap. I'm just healing. I have to peel another layer of the onion. This is the progress addict's favorite excuse. The idea that we are an onion with infinite layers of trauma that must be removed to reach the pure center. It sounds logical. But in practice, it becomes an endless archaeological excavation. You are always digging. First, you heal your inner child. Fine. Then you discover you have to heal the relationship with your father. Okay. Then the relationship with your mother. Then the trauma of your birth. Then the trauma of your ancestors. Then the karma of your past lives. Then the collective karma of humanity. Then the alien implants in your DNA. When does it end? Never. There will always be something else to heal. The human psyche is infinite. If you look for shit, you will find shit. Always. Healing becomes an identity. I am a person who is healing equals I am an eternal patient. You spend your life in the waiting room of happiness. You are waiting for a clean slate. When I finish healing my abandonment wound, then I can have a partner. When I finish healing my relationship with money, then I will start my business. It's a lie. It is fear disguised as prudence. You are using healing as a barrier not to live. You don't need to be 100% healed to live. No one is. Everyone has a scar. You can have a partner while having a fear of abandonment. You can be an entrepreneur while having insecurities. Life is lived with the wound open, not waiting for it to scar over before going out to play. Stop peeling the damn onion. You're going to run out of onion and all you'll have left are watery eyes. Inhabit your mess now. The tyranny of the future self. The progress-addicted ego is in love with a fantasy, your version 2.0, that future. You who never gets angry, always eats healthy, meditates 2 hours a day without effort, is compassionate with everyone, has economic and spiritual abundance. You love that ghost, and in comparison you hate your present self. You are at war. You look at your current self, who skipped the diet, who shouted at the kids, who is lazy, and you feel disgust. I am not enough. I have to work harder to become him. Your spiritual path is based on self-hatred. You scourge yourself with disciplines and demands to kill who you are and become who you think you should be. That is not self-love. That is psychological torture. How can you reach peace through a war against yourself? How can you reach total acceptance, enlightenment, starting from the total rejection of your current state? You cannot. The starting point determines the destination. If the start is I am insufficient, the end is the same. The business of insufficiency. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry that depends on you feeling broken. If you felt complete today, you wouldn't buy the next €500 course on how to activate your quantum DNA. You wouldn't go to the weekend retreat to find your purpose. You wouldn't buy the crystals, the oils, and the books. You would be free. The commercial spiritual system, mindfulness, sells you the medicine and sells you the disease. It tells you, your ego is the problem. Your low vibration is the problem. But don't worry, I have the solution in 3 easy installments. They are smoke sellers selling you tap water, telling you it is sacred elixir to you by the spring. The true master sells you nothing. The true master takes things away from you. He takes away the crutches. He takes away the illusions. He takes away the idea that you need something external. The true master leaves you naked and says, look at yourself. You are already that. Stop searching. And that is very bad for business. That is why there are few real masters and many spiritual marketing gurus. A real master's goal is to make himself unnecessary as quickly as possible, while a guru's goal is to keep you dependent on his higher knowledge and next level of initiation. True wisdom is realizing you never needed the guru's map to find your own heart. The illusion of linear time. Progress requires time. It requires a before, worse, and an after, better. But the mystical experience always happens now. You cannot become enlightened tomorrow. Tomorrow is a concept. Tomorrow does not exist. You can only wake up now. If you think you need time to wake up, you are postponing the awakening. You are saying, how not now? Now I am too dirty, busy, traumatized. Better leave it for when I've done 3 more years of therapy. The ego loves time because the ego is time. The ego is memory, past and projection, future. The now is the death of the ego. In the absolute now there is no story. There is only presence. There is no I was like this. There is no I will be like that. There is only presence. That is why the ego always pushes you toward the future, progress. It tells you, keep walking, the goal is near. But the goal is not ahead. The goal is the ground you are stepping on. You have to stop, you have to get off the treadmill. Subtle comparison, the spiritual ranking. Even if you say you don't judge, your progress-addicted mind keeps a secret ranking. You look at your friends and place them on a scale. Juan is at level 2, very asleep. Maria is at level 5, starting. I am at level 7. My master is at level 9. This gives you security, it gives you location, but it is pure arrogance, it is a trap. How do you measure consciousness? Who is more advanced? The yogi who levitates but ignores his child, or the grandmother who cannot read but unconditionally loves her grandson? Spirituality is not a 100-meter dash. There is no podium. Sometimes what looks like a setback, a crisis, is the greatest advance of the soul. It is an advance because it breaks arrogance and brings humility. Sometimes what looks like progress, years of peace and discipline, is stagnation in the comfort zone. You have no idea what each soul's evolution plan is. Throw your ranking in the trash. You know nothing. Focus on your own breath and leave the labels behind. Improving the ego or transcending it? Here is the core of the deception. Most self-improvement is simply ego decoration. It is taking a prison cell and painting it in pretty colors, putting in Wi-Fi and designer furniture. The prisoner, you, feels better. You say, "What a beautiful cell I have. I have progressed a lot. Before it was a damp dungeon. But you're in it. You are still in the cell. True spirituality is not decorating the cell. It is opening the door and walking out. And sometimes to walk out, you have to leave the nice furniture behind. Sometimes freedom is uncomfortable at first. Self-improvement strengthens the I, makes it smarter. Awakening dissolves the I. They are opposites. They are opposite movements. Do you want to be a better person? This is a laudable goal, socially useful, a task for the ego. Or do you want to be free? This is an existential goal, sometimes socially useless, a task for the spirit. You have to choose. You cannot take your best self to enlightenment. There is no room for selves. Spiritual perfectionism, sacred neurosis. The progress addict develops an obsessive neurosis for purity. He is afraid of contaminating himself. If I eat meat, I lower my vibration. If I have a negative thought, I attract misfortune. If I don't meditate today, I go back 3 spaces. You live in fear of making a mistake. You think God is an accountant. You think God keeps a record of your failures and successes. This rigidity dries you up. It takes away your joy. You become a Puritan. The 17th century Puritans were afraid of sin. The 21st century Puritans are afraid of low vibration. It is the same. It is fear. Life is messy. Life is trial and error. Real evolution is error. Real evolution happens through error, not through the avoidance of error. Get dirty, make mistakes. Lower your vibration for a while. Nothing happens. The universe is elastic. You will recover. True holiness is found in the ability to forgive yourself for being human, not in the impossible attempt to become a flawless machine. The paradox of the search. There is an ancient Zen proverb, seeking the ox while riding the ox. You are looking for something you already are. The fact of searching for it implies that you believe you don't have it. Therefore, the search creates the lack. The more you seek peace, the more anxiety you generate, fear of not finding it. It's a loop. The more you look for love, the lonelier you feel. It is a Chinese finger trap. The more you pull, the more it catches you. The only way to be free is to stop pulling, to surrender, to say, I give up. I am not going to improve anymore. I am not going to heal anymore. I am this wonderful mess. I am worthy of existing. The moment you surrender, the search ceases. And when the search ceases, the ox appears. You realize that you were always riding it. Peace was not something to be achieved. It was what was left when you stopped running. Your nature is already luminous. You don't need to polish the sun to make it shine. Just stop the clouds. The value of mediocrity. This is the bitterest medicine for the spiritual ego. Accepting being mediocre. The ego wants to be special. It wants to be a bodhisattva. It wants to save the world. Tell your ego, look, we will probably never be enlightened. We will probably still have a bad temper sometimes until the day we die. We will be normal humans. Observe the resistance. Observe the rage. No, I am destined for great things. That resistance is your chain. If you accept being ordinary, you become extraordinary. Because an ordinary human being who is not at war with himself, who accepts himself with humor and simplicity, is the rarest thing in the universe. People approach you because you don't try to sell them your holiness. You are real. You are accessible. You are a mirror where they can see their own humanity accepted. Your accepted mediocrity becomes your true sanctity. By being nobody, you finally allow the vastness of everything to flow through you without obstruction. The fall from the ladder. I invite you to visualize that ladder you have been climbing for years. Look up. There is no end. Look at your feet. They are tired and bleeding. Now, do something radical. Let yourself fall. Let go of the rungs. Fall into the void. Feel the vertigo of failing on your spiritual path. Feel the impact against the ground. It's done. Feel the thud against the floor. And now, look where you have fallen. You have fallen onto the earth. You have fallen into your life. You have fallen into the here. You haven't killed yourself. You have simply stopped climbing. From the ground, you cannot fall any lower. You are already safe. You are finally home in the now. From the ground, you can walk in any direction, not just up. You can explore the valley. You can lie down to sleep. You can play. You have traded ascension, vertical effort, for expansion, horizontal freedom. You are no longer a climber. You are a wanderer of the infinite, enjoying the scenery instead of obsessing over the peak. Exercise the "it is already done" list. Take a piece of paper. Write all the things you think you lack to be spiritual. Aegean, open the third eye. Forgive my father. Stop eating sugar. Learn Sanskrit. Read it. And now, write below in large letters, I renounce. I declare that I am not going to do any of this. I declare myself complete with all these flaws. Burn the paper. Feel the panic and then the relief. You have just fired your inner taskmaster. From now on, your only practice is to notice how life happens on its own, without you having to improve it. You are free from the burden of perfection. Welcome to the rest of your life where you are finally allowed to just be. Chapter 7. The Betrayal of Light. A day arrives. A grey, heavy and silent day. You wake up at 5 in the morning as always. You sit on your meditation cushion as always. You light your incense as always. You close your eyes expecting that usual peace, that connection, that warmth in your chest that confirms you are on the right path. But today, as there is nothing, there is only silence. And not the sacred and deep silence, a dry silence, a silence of the grave, a hostile silence. You try to repeat your mantra, but the words sound hollow, stupid, like counterfeit coins falling on metal. You try to visualize light, but you only see darkness. You try to read your favorite spiritual book and it is fake. It seems like a pile of cheesy and lying wordplay. Days pass, weeks pass, the connection does not return. Your life begins to crumble, your health fails, your money stagnates, your relationships cool down. You panic. You shout to the sky, I have done everything you asked, I have been good, I have meditated, why abandon me? And the sky responds with an icy indifference. Welcome to Chapter 7. Welcome to the desert. Welcome to the betrayal of light. This is the moment you discover that spirituality was not a commercial contract. It is the moment when your toys break so you can know the real. Most seekers quit here. They say, this doesn't work, it's a scam. They return to materialism, or look for another guru who promises easy magic. But you are not going to quit. You are going to understand that this drought is not an error. It is the highest initiation. It is the fire that burns what remains of your disguise. You are being prepared for a truth that does not depend on pleasant sensations. The end of the spiritual honeymoon. When you start the spiritual path, the universe usually gives you candy. It is beginner's luck. You do your first meditation and feel ecstasy. You do a workshop and your life improves magically. You ask for a sign and it appears. The universe is seducing you. It is giving you free samples so that you get hooked on the new feeling. And you, or rather your ego, gets hooked. The ego thinks, wow, this works. I found a cosmic vending machine. If I put in a prayer coin, a can of miracles comes out. If I put in a fasting coin, a well-being comes out. I am in control. You become addicted to spiritual causality. You think you've cracked the code. You believe that if you follow the rules, you will be protected from pain and assured of success. But that is not love of God. It is commerce. It is a transactional relationship. I give you devotion, you give me security. It is the same relationship an employee has with a boss or a child with Santa Claus. It is a game of masks. But the goal of the path is not for you to be an efficient employee of the universe. The goal is for you to be a sovereign child, an equal, an adult. And for you to mature, the Father has to stop giving you a weekly allowance. He has to kick you out of the house. He has to cut off the supply of candy. You must walk on your own now. Tolerance to the spiritual drug. Why do practices stop working? For the same reason that heroin stops having an effect if you use it every day. Tolerance. Your ego has learned to eat the meditation. It has learned to appropriate the peace. What at first was a tool of liberation has become a tool of comfort. You use meditation to feel good, not to wake up. You use mantras to cover up anxiety, not to dissolve it. The ego has colonized your practices. It has installed itself in them like a parasite resistant to antibiotics. Then, the intelligence of life, which loves you too much to let you sleep, does the only thing it can do. It renders your tools useless. It turns it all off. It makes meditation a torture. It makes yoga hurt you. It makes books bore you. It takes away the drug. It forces you to face the withdrawal syndrome. It leaves you naked and weaponless before the void. The message is clear. You cannot use my gifts to hide from me. You must face the silence without the help of your ego's toys. The ego's tantrum, the hatred of God. When the light goes out, the first thing that arises is not humility, it is rage, a biblical rage. You feel cheated. I've been working on myself for 10 years. It's not fair. Look at my neighbor. He's a materialistic idiot, and everything is going great, and I, who am spiritual, am in the shit. This rage is absolutely fundamental. Do not repress it. Do not try to be spiritual about it. Shout. Insult the universe. Tell it that it is a fraud. This rage is the good boy mask falling to pieces. For years, you have pretended to be good to get rewards. Now that there are no rewards, your true face comes out. You were a mercenary. You were only there for the pay. Recognizing this hurts, but it is the truth, and the truth sets you free. Hating God is a necessary phase. It means you have stopped pretending to love Him out of interest. It is the end of hypocrisy. You are being honest for the first time. I hate you because you don't give me what I want. Good. Now we can start talking for real. The dark night of the soul versus depression. St. John of the Cross called this state the dark night of the soul. Modern psychologists often confuse it with clinical depression. They look alike, but they are not the same. Depression, a loss of vitality due to emotional repression or trauma. You feel useless, apathetic. It is a I don't want to live, a bottomless pit. Dark night. It is a process of dismantling. It's not that you don't have energy. It's that your energy has withdrawn inward for a metamorphosis. It is an I don't want to live like this. It is a tunnel, not a pit. It has an exit, even if you don't see it. In the dark night, what is depressed is your spiritual ego. It lost its meaning. Before, your life had an epic sense. I was ascending. Now nothing makes sense. The concepts of ascension, mission, and chakras seem like childish fairy tales. You feel stupid for having believed in them. You feel alone in a mechanical and cold universe. This void of meaning is terrifying, but it is necessary for you. All your beliefs were borrowed. They were mental concepts. The fire of the dark night burns the concepts. Only what is real will survive. If your faith depends on feeling good, your faith is false. The dark night comes to test if you are capable of standing when there is no ground. It is the trial of the absolute truth. Absolute solitude, abandonment. In this phase, it is very common for your teachers to fail you, your spiritual friends to distance themselves, or your community to reject you, or you reject them. You go to a meeting of your spiritual group and hear them talk about energies and angels, and you feel like vomiting. You see them pretending, you see the fear, you see their arrogance, you see their disguised fear. You realize you are completely alone, no one can help you. No book has the answer. No YouTube video consoles you. It is the solitary confinement of the soul. Why? Because you have to learn to stand on your own divine spine. You have been leaning on external canes for too long. The universe takes away the canes to see if you fall or if you walk. At first you fall, you crawl, you cry. You look for mommy, but mommy doesn't come. And then, in the middle of despair, you discover a strange force, a cold, hard, metallic force within you. The strength of someone who has nothing left to lose. Sovereignty is born. The collapse of the special identity. What is really dying in the dark night is your sense of being special, the spiritual ego fed on being the chosen one, the awakened one. In the desert, you are just a thirsty man or woman. You are dust. You realize you are no better than the drunk on the corner. In fact, you envy the drunk because at least he enjoys his wine. This humiliation is the medicine. It kicks you off your pedestal. It forces you to accept your ordinary humanity. You stop wanting to be an angel and settle for being a decent human who doesn't suffer. This fall of pride is extremely painful, but it is the narrow gate through which one enters the kingdom. You must become no one. Only when you are no one can you be everything. As long as you are someone special, you are separate from the all. The ego's need for distinction is the final barrier to the experience of unity. By losing your specialness, you gain the universe. You trade a small, fragile crown for the infinite majesty of pure existence. When prayer changes direction, before you used to ask, God give me this, God take away that, God make me happy. Now in the desert you realize that no one listens to those requests. You realize that God is not a butler. Your prayer changes. It stops being a request and becomes a surrender. You no longer say, Thy will be done disguised as my will. You say, I surrender. I don't understand anything. I don't know what you want from me. You have broken me. I can't take it anymore. Do what you want with me. If I have to die in this desert, I die. I don't care. I'm not fighting anymore. That moment, that precise instant of total surrender, is the turning point. It is the shift. It is not a surrender of I give up, defeat. It is a surrender of I give myself, offering. You stop trying to direct the universe. You let go of the steering wheel. And curiously, the moment you let go of the wheel, expecting to crash, the car stabilizes. You feel a strange peace, not the euphoric peace from before. It is deep. It is a silent, dark, vast peace, the peace of the abyss. In this emptiness, where all your demands have ceased, the first real communication with the divine begins. Not words, not visions, but a presence that is felt in the marrow of your bones. You have finally stopped talking to God so that God can finally be through you. Aridity as cleaning. Imagine a sponge full of dirty water, your conditioning, your ego. To fill it with clean water, pure spirit, it must first be squeezed until it is dry. The dark night is the squeeze. The aridity you feel, the lack of emotions, the lack of juice of life, is the process of emptying. Your dopamine receptors are being cleaned. You are being detoxified from the addiction to constant emotion. The higher self operates at very subtle frequencies. As long as your system is full of the noise of your emotional dramas, even spiritual ones, you cannot catch the subtle signal. The silence of the desert is calibrating your ear to hear the whisper of the real. It is not a punishment. It is a technical preparation for a voltage surge. Your old nervous system could not handle the light you are asking for. It would burn. The drought is the construction of a new vessel, stronger and more transparent, capable of holding the wine of the spirit without being intoxicated by the ego's pride. The danger of going back. In the midst of this pain, the temptation to go back is giant. Many try to recover their old spirituality. They try to force visualizations. They go to more workshops to recover the magic. It is like trying to reanimate a corpse. That stage has died. You cannot return to the womb. It is an impossible journey backward. If you try to return to beginner practices, you will feel nauseated. Others try to flee forward with worldly distractions, alcohol, sex, compulsive work. To hell with spirituality, I'm going to live the crazy life. But it doesn't work either. You've seen too much. You know the material world is a cardboard set. It has no depth. You cannot deceive yourself again. Alcohol doesn't taste the same. Success doesn't fill you. You are trapped. You cannot go back and you don't see the way forward. You are at point zero. You are crucified in the present. and that is where you have to be. Still, bleeding, waiting, this stasis is the womb of your new being. Faith without evidence. This is graduation. It is easy to have faith when you see miracles and feel peace. Any idiot has faith like that. Mastery is having faith when everything points to you being alone and condemned. To have faith when God is silent. To keep walking through the desert simply because something in your chest tells you to walk. Even though your mind screams that it is useless, this is mature faith. The faith that does not need snacks or validation. The faith that loves the truth more than pleasure. Even if you kill me, I will trust you. When you reach that point, you become unbreakable. Nothing in the world can manipulate you because you are free. You no longer need anything from the world, not even peace. You have found a source of sustenance that does not depend on external or internal conditions. You have become a source yourself. By needing nothing, you have everything. This is the paradox of the desert. It is only when you are empty that you are truly full of the real. The hidden gift, radical authenticity. In the dark night, you lose your holiness, but you gain your truth. You become real. You no longer have the energy to pretend. If you are bad, you say, I am bad. If you don't know, you say, I don't know. The mask of the guru, of the savior, of the special being falls off. You become a simple person. It is a great relief. And that simplicity has a brutal magnetic power. Before, people admired you, your mask. Now people connect with you, your essence. Your pain has made you truly empathetic. Before, you judged those who suffered as having low vibration. Now you know what hell is. Now you can sit with someone in their hell and hold their hand. You can hold their hand without judging them, because you live there. You have become a real healer, not one from a book. A wounded healer. Your scars have become the eyes through which you see the suffering of others with total clarity and love. You are no longer trying to fix people. You are simply witnessing their divinity. The exit from the tunnel. How do you get out of the dark night? You don't get out by fighting. You get out by exhausting the resistance. A day comes when you get tired of suffering. You get tired of looking for exits, and you simply sit down. You accept the darkness. You say, okay, if this is my life now, I accept it. I accept being dry. I am no one. And in that deep acceptance, without hope of change, the change occurs. It is not an explosion of lights and trumpets. It is something very soft. It is like the first ray of sun after a polar night. You start to notice that life returns, but it is different. It is no longer the hysterical emotion of before. It is solid. It is a rock-solid serenity. You look at a flower and cry with beauty, not because it is a divine sign, but because it is a flower. You look at people and feel love, not because they are beings of light, but because they are fragile fellow travelers like you. You have returned to life, but you have returned without skin. You have returned transparent. The ego is still there. It will always be as long as you have a body, but it is transparent. It no longer commands. It is a frightened servant who has understood who the master is. You are now free to walk in the world without being of the world. You have survived the betrayal of light. Chapter 8. The Death of the Seeker. There is an ancient Zen proverb that summarizes the entirety of the spiritual path in 2 sentences, which you have probably already heard, but never truly understood until now. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The spiritual ego hears this and feels deeply disappointed. The ego expected the second part of the phrase to be, after enlightenment, levitate over water, manifest gold, and be adored by the masses. But Zen is relentless. It tells you that the external life does not change. You will still have to pay taxes. You will still have to take out the garbage. You will still face traffic jams. Your partner will still leave the toilet seat up. If you expected awakening to free you from the vulgarity of human life, you have the wrong universe. What changes is not the task, chopping wood. What changes is who chops the wood. Before, it was chopped by the seeker, an anxious entity chopping wood while thinking of the future. The seeker complained about the weight of the axe, wishing to finish quickly to go meditate or to be recognized as the best woodsman. Now the wood is chopped by no one. There is a body moving. There is an axe going up and down. There is sweat. There is the sound of wood splitting. But there is no resistance or story. There is no mental story. There is no desire to be elsewhere. The action is pure. And when the action is pure, chopping wood becomes a sacred dance. It becomes the total expression of the absolute in that moment. Welcome to Chapter 8. Today, we are going to attend a funeral. We are going to bury the seeker once and for all. That character who has accompanied you for years, the one who bought the books, the one who went to the retreats, the one who wanted to heal. He has been a good companion, but now he is an obstacle, because a seeker, by definition, is someone who has not found. If you keep searching, you are affirming that you lack something. To find, you have to stop searching. To be, you have to stop trying to become. Today we are going to talk about the most radical courage of all, the courage to be a completely ordinary, irrelevant, and happy person. It is time to let go of the spiritual drama and finally inhabit the simplicity of pure existence. The end of the epic movie. The ego lives on drama. Even the spiritual ego loves the drama of ascension. It loves to feel that it is in a cosmic battle between light and darkness. It loves to feel that it is clearing timelines, fighting archons, or healing ancestral traumas from 7 generations ago. That makes it feel like the star of a Marvel movie. I am Dr. Strange, healing the multiverse from my sofa. The death of the seeker implies the end of the movie. You leave the cinema, the sunlight hits your face, the street is noisy, you are hungry. You realize there is no background soundtrack, there is no grand mission to fulfill. The universe does not need you to save it. The universe works perfectly well without your neurotic intervention. This at first feels like a depression. The ego screams, "And now what? Am I just going to live? Is that all? Wake up, work, eat, love, and sleep?" Yes, that is all. And if that seems like little to you, it is because you are still sick with self-importance. If the miracle of breathing, of feeling the sun on your skin, of looking into another person's eyes and eating an apple seems like little to you, then you are blind. The search for the extraordinary is the symptom that you are unable to see the immensity of the ordinary. True magic is hidden in the mundane. The identity addiction. You have spent years building a spiritual identity. I am vegan, yogi, therapist, channeler, indigo. These are labels. They are suits. The death of the seeker means stripping naked. Who are you if I take away all your practices? Who are you if you can no longer present yourself as someone spiritual? Many feel vertigo. If I am not the seeker, I am a nobody. Exactly. And being a nobody is the supreme freedom. Think about it. If you are someone, a master, an expert, a saint, you have an image to defend. If someone insults you, you are offended because it attacks your identity. If you make a mistake, you are ashamed for your reputation. You carry a statue of yourself all day, making sure it doesn't break. It is exhausting. But if you are nobody, you are air. You have no image. You have no reputation to defend. If someone insults you, the insult passes through the air and hits nothing. If you make a mistake, you laugh because you are not perfect or pretend to be. You become fluid. You become unpredictable. You can talk to a king and a beggar with the same naturalness because you do not feel inferior to one nor superior to the other. You have abandoned the game of hierarchies. By becoming nothing, you finally have the space to be everything without the weight of a mask. The return to the marketplace. In the Zen tradition, there is a series of drawings called the 10 Bulls that describe the path of awakening. 1. Seeking the bull. 2. Finding the tracks. 3. Seeing the bull. 4. Catching the bull. 5. Taming the bull. 6. Riding the bull home. 7. The bull is transcended. 8. The bull and the self are transcended. 9. Return to the origin. Many stay at step 8 or 9. They stay in the cave, in the void, in solitary bliss. But step 10, the final step, is the most important. 10. Entering the marketplace with open hands. The master comes down from the mountain. He returns to the village. He goes to the market where fish and wine are sold. He mixes with the people. He is dirty, disheveled, and smiling. He does not wear a sacred robe, he wears peasant clothes. And the text says, he mixes with the drunks and the butchers, and whoever he touches, he makes them flourish. This is the goal, not to stay in nirvana, but to bring nirvana to the marketplace. That is the true work. Being able to be at Christmas dinner with your toxic family and being completely happy, eating sweets, making jokes, and enjoying their company without judging them. You no longer need to protect your vibration. Your vibration is now so stable that it doesn't get contaminated. It contaminates the rest with its peace, the sacredness of washing dishes. Let's talk about the ultimate test of spirituality. It is not how long you last in meditation, it is how you wash the dishes. The seeker washes the dishes in a hurry, thinking, "This is a waste of time. I want to finish to go read my spiritual book." He is resisting the present moment. He is devaluing reality for a fantasy. The awakened, the one who has killed the seeker, washes the dishes with reverence. He feels the warm water on his hands. He smells the soap. He feels the texture of the ceramic. There is no hurry. There is no after. Only this dish exists. And this dish is the entire universe manifesting as ceramic and grease. It is whole. If you cannot find God washing dishes, you will not find him in any temple. Because God is the totality, and the totality includes the grease, the soap, and the trash. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, "Wash the dish, not to have it clean, but for the act of washing the dish." When you do this, daily life becomes a sacrament. Making the bed is sacred. Driving is sacred. Listening to your child cry is sacred. There is no longer a distinction between spiritual moment and mundane moment. All is one. By honoring the small things, you realize there are no small things. Every second is a portal to the infinite if you stop trying to escape it. The renunciation of the mission. The spiritual ego loves the idea of having a life mission. I have come to save the planet. I have come to raise consciousness. It sounds beautiful, but it is often a narcissistic burden. It puts enormous pressure on your shoulders. If I don't fulfill my mission, I have failed. My life has no meaning. It is a weight. The death of the seeker implies letting go of the mission, capital M, and embracing the function, lowercase f. Your only mission is to be what you are in each moment. If you are a baker, your mission is to make bread with love today. If you are a mother, your mission is to hug your child today. Just be present. If you are unemployed, your mission is to breathe and trust today. By letting go of the grandiosity of the planetary mission, you become truly useful. You stop trying to save the abstract world and start helping the real person in front of you. The world is saved with millions of small acts of invisible love. The integration of the shadow, final. At the beginning of the book, we talked about integrating the shadow so as not to be artificially good. Now, in the death of the seeker, the integration is complete. You no longer fight against your defects. You accept that you have a bad temper. You accept that you are sometimes lazy. You accept your desires. And curiously, by accepting them fully, they stop controlling you. Yes, I am a human being who sometimes gets angry. So what? That radical self-acceptance deactivates the neurosis. You no longer spend energy hiding your trash. You are transparent. And that transparency makes you harmless in the best sense. People relax around you because they don't feel that you are judging them, nor that you are judging yourself. Your presence gives them permission to be imperfect too. That is the greatest gift you can give to someone. The space to be a mess without being judged. You become a sanctuary of authentic human acceptance. The silence of God revisited. In the previous chapter, the silence of God was distressing. Now the silence of God is comfortable. You no longer need the universe to send you constant signals. You trust. It's like a couple who has been married for 50 years. They don't need to say, "I love you" every 5 minutes, or send anxious messages. They can sit in the same room in silence, reading the newspaper, knowing that love is there, solid as a mountain. You have matured in your relationship with the divine. You no longer need fireworks or mystical experiences. The mystical experience is being alive. Breathing is the miracle. God is the silence. The paradox of desire. Does this mean you can no longer desire things? That you cannot want money, a partner, or success? No. It means you no longer depend on them to be what you are. You can play the money game. It's fun. You can play the seduction game. It's fun. But you play like someone playing Monopoly. You are unattached. If you win, you laugh. If you lose, you laugh. You know Monopoly money isn't real. You know that at the end of the game, all the pieces go back in the box. But while the game lasts, you play it with passion. That is playful detachment. The seeker plays thinking his life depends on winning. He suffers, you enjoy. The awakened plays knowing it is a game. He enjoys it. Be ambitious if you want. Create a company. Travel. Fall in love. But do it from fullness, not from lack. Do it because you are so full of joy that you want to express it by creating things, not because you are so empty that you need things to fill you. Create from love, the shared solitude. At the end of the road, you discover that in a sense you are always alone. No one can live your life for you. No one can die for you. No one can see the world through your eyes. But by accepting this existential solitude, you realize that we are all equally alone. And in that shared solitude, a deep brotherhood arises. You look at the other and say, you are also alone in there, right? You are also afraid. You are also trying to understand this mess. And compassion arises. Not the arrogant compassion of chapter 2, but horizontal compassion. We are in the same boat. You fall in love with humanity, the clumsy, scared, and brave humanity. The ignorant master. If someone asks you now, what is spirituality? You will probably shrug your shoulders and say, I don't know, be kind, breathe, eat well. You no longer give 3-hour speeches on quantum metaphysics. You have become simple. Socrates said, I only know that I know nothing. The seeker thinks he knows much. The master knows that the mystery is unknowable. You have traded knowledge, mental data for wisdom, experience. Knowledge is a backpack full of books. It is heavy. Wisdom is a glass of fresh water. It relieves. You have become light. You walk the earth without the burden of needing to explain it or label every mystery. Living without a map. You have burned the maps. You no longer follow gurus. You no longer follow methods. You no longer follow the 10 steps to success. You are guided by your own internal compass, moment to moment. What feels true now? Maybe now the true thing is to meditate. Maybe in an hour the true thing is to have a beer. Maybe tomorrow the true thing is to quit your job and go to the mountains. You are fluid. You are faithful to life, not to a doctrine. This is scary at first because there are no railings, but it is the only way to truly walk. Maps are useful on known terrain, but life is constant unknown terrain. Only presence guides you. The final trap, turning being nobody into an identity. Be careful. The ego is a born survivor. It may try to appropriate even this. I am the humblest person in the world. I am the best at being nobody. Look how well I wash the dishes. I am super zen. If you catch yourself doing this, laugh. It is the ego trying to return through the back door. Do not take it seriously. Tell him, good try, friend, but I've already seen you. Humor is the universal solvent of the ego. If you can laugh at your own spirituality, you are safe. The seeker is serious and solemn. The awakened has a cosmic laugh. He knows that all this is a divine joke. He enjoys the play without needing to be the hero, the Don. So here you are. No mission, no importance, no final answers. With a pile of dirty dishes in the sink, with a body that ages, with a world that is still crazy. And yet, there is a background stillness that does not go away. There is a subtle joy that depends on nothing. There is a sense of home. You have arrived. You have returned home. And it turns out home was not in a 5D astral dimension. Home was right here in your kitchen, in your breath, in your chest. You were always home. You just had to stop looking out the window, waiting for someone to come looking for you. The seeker has died. Long live life. Conclusion. Living without a map. If you have listened closely, if you have allowed the ideas in this book to cut where they needed to cut, right now you should feel a strange sensation. It is a mixture of lightness and vertigo. It is the feeling of someone who has been carrying a heavy backpack for decades and suddenly takes it off. The relief is immense. The relief is immense, yes. But there is also a strange disorientation. Your body had grown accustomed to the weight. Your identity had molded itself around the burden of the seeker. You used to walk leaning forward, always looking for the next step, the next goal, the next healing. Now you are upright, you are finally here. You look at the horizon and realize something terrifying and wonderful. There is no path. For 8 chapters we have burned the maps. We have burned the map of material success. We have burned the map of spiritual ambition. We have burned the map of feigned morality and the map of evolution by levels. You are standing in the open. And now you are standing in the middle of the territory, with empty hands and the open sky above your head. The ego, at this point, usually panics. It screams, "Give me instructions. Tell me what to do tomorrow. Tell me what the morning routine of the awakened is." But there are no more instructions. The time for rules is over. Any instruction I gave you now would be a new cage. If I told you, now you must meditate like this and live like that, I would be betraying everything we have talked about. I would be giving you a new dogma for your ego to hide behind. The time of gurus is over. The time of manuals is over. The time of the great outdoors has come. Living without a map means living in real time. The map is a static drawing of the past. It tells you what was there years ago. It gives you security because it makes you believe you know what is coming. But life is a living, changing, seismic and wild territory. A map is useless on ground that moves. You must trust your feet. The only thing that serves you is your inner compass. And that compass does not tell you the final destination. The ego always wants to know the destination. That compass only tells you the next step, just one. Turn left. Stop. Talk to that person. Get out of here. Living without a map requires a radical trust in yourself. It requires trust in your own intuition, moment by moment. It requires letting go of the need to know where you will be in 10 years, or even in 10 minutes. It is living in a state of floating attention, like a surfer. The surfer does not have a map of the wave. He cannot plan the wave. The wave changes every millisecond. The surfer merges with the wave. He responds to the wave. If the wave rises, he rises. If the wave breaks, he turns. He does not think. He does not judge the wave. He becomes the wave. That is living beyond identity. You have spent years asking yourself, who am I? You sought a solid definition like a marble statue today. I am a spiritual person, kind vegan Aliyah. Now you know you are not a statue. You are the water. You have no shape. You take the shape of the vessel of the moment. If life asks you to be a warrior, you are a warrior. If life asks you to be a lover, you are a lover. If life asks you to be a playing child, you are a child. And when the situation ends, you empty yourself. You become water again. You become nobody again. You do not stay stuck to the character of the warrior or the lover. This fluidity of identity is what makes you invulnerable. You cannot break water. You cannot offend the void. You are a sovereign flow of pure, unconditioned being. I know this is scary. The ego loves the security of the cage. The cage has bars, but it also has a roof, and they give you food at fixed times. Freedom is dangerous. In freedom, you are responsible for your own hunt. You are responsible for your own shelter. But ask yourself, do you really want to go back to the cage now? Do you want to go back to pretending you are small? Do you want to go back to asking permission to be happy? Do you want to go back to waiting for an external God to validate you? You can't. Even if you wanted to, you no longer fit in the cage. You have grown too much. Your consciousness has expanded and burst the bars apart. You are condemned to be free. So what are you going to do with this freedom? Nothing special. You don't have to go to India. You don't have to found an NGO. You don't have to write a book unless the impulse arises naturally. Most likely your external life will remain very similar, but the texture will be completely different. You will live with irony. You will know that all of this is a game, a divine game, beautiful and tragic at times, but a game. You will no longer take yourself so seriously. When you get angry, you will observe your anger and laugh under your breath. Look, the character has gotten angry. How cute. You are the silent observer. When you succeed, you will celebrate it, but you will know it doesn't add a single gram of real value to you. When you fail, it will hurt, but you will know it doesn't take away a single gram of real value from you. You will be light. Chesterton said, "Angels can fly because they take themselves lightly." You are now weightless. The ego is heavy. The gravity of the I crushes you against the ground. The no-self is weightless. Your presence in the world from today on will be an act of silent subversion. In a world obsessed with becoming someone, you will be a rebel who dares to be no one. In a world that screams, you will be the silence that listens. In a world that runs, you will be the one who walks slowly, savoring the air. And without you doing anything, without you intending anything, the people around you will begin to change. Your peace, that real, dirty and human peace we talked about, will be contagious. Your lack of judgment will set others free. You are a lighthouse. Your authenticity will give permission to others to take off their masks. That is the true mission you were looking for. Not to save the world, but to be the world in a healthy way. Do not look back. The seeker you were has stayed in the previous pages. Let him rest in peace. He did his job. He brought you here. Say goodbye. Now you are the living one, the one who experiences, the open channel through which the mystery knows itself. Close this book or turn off this audio. Look around you. Look at that wall. Look at that light. Look at your hand. Listen to the noise of the street. That is it. That is all. There is nothing else hidden here today. There is nothing else hidden behind the curtain. God is shining on the surface of all things. The Holy Grail is your morning cup of coffee. The Promised Land is the ground you step on right now. You are home. You are the source. You are free. Now walk into the world and simply be. The dance of existence is waiting for you.